And this evening, we've had quite a drop from yesterday in about 24 hours. The entire market is somewhere between 10 and 15% at its peak. I don't think I've seen anything over 15. So these look like, as of right now, we've got the biggest thing we have to pay attention to when we start looking at some of these. So, for example, we had targets on XDC on the drop of 8.4 cents has hit. Now, does that reverse or do we get chopped down here? That's something we don't know yet. We'll have to see how this plays out. But one of the bounce areas is right here. We came down, we should come up, and then we might have to come back down and double. We don't know. We have to see how this pans out. But we have a very wide cup, and I talked about creating this handle. So let's look at this in the 4-hourly, and we're going to go across the board here and look at a few. I'm laser focused right now, so I'll get to the comments when it's available, when I'm available to do it. But these are the handles. They're back testing here. If they hold on these breakouts, this is what I was waiting for. XDC came very close to the 20-day. So I don't know if it's going to bounce off this 8.4 projection or if it's got a little bit more to the downside and comes down to the 20-day at 8.2. Either way, if you had sold out to reposition around 9.7, 10 cents, 9.4, and it goes down to 8.4, 8.279, and you're looking about, you're splitting hairs. You're splitting hairs. Oh yeah. The inverse head and shoulders is there, but that cup that's forming the handle, that is the micro move. Yes, Cowabunga, excellent perception of what's happening, and that handle, if created, will validate the movement in the weekly for the continuation, which it very well should. We have a long-term cup, and this is literally forming a handle on the short term to finish up the movement. So I have no doubt that this is likely going to happen. That's a nice W. Gartley reversal. Had a 10% drop, and it's looking like it's in a stellar spot to take a shot. You got to look at your own risk asset or your own risk appetite. H bar, we talked about the movement to 22.7. It came to about 23.8. So it leaves you wondering if some of these are going to end up coming down a little farther. I know the futures in the stock market was down about 100 points right now. I got Bloomberg out of the background. Yeah, Dow futures is down 113. S&P futures is up 5. NASDAQ futures is up 76 right now. So we'll see how that shakes out. When I go through some of these, one of the bigger ones, IOTA hit that back test of the daily golden cross perfectly. Exactly where we talked about yesterday at 20.87 cents, which would be the first buy area. That's a golden cross in the daily. We're trying to validate this movement. And honestly, if you buy back into these positions, these are where you have to have the risk appetite, because you're buying it on a 10 or 12% drop, even though, and that's where we targeted and said that's decision time right there. And now we're going into the daily close, and it's not looking so hot. That's a completely reversed candle, but it is back testing. But now you look at the weekly time frames, they very well are kind of, they better be careful here. They better be careful, because we're very close to another 5% drop or so from having a daily or a weekly reversal starting up. Jim Cramer says buy Bitcoin, and he's never right. So this drop, it was telegraphed for us. Yesterday, I thought we did a fantastic job outlining an entire market drop of around 15%. Yeah, it got taken down because I violated community standards, but honestly, I don't even give a rat's ass. And things happen. The ones who were here got to see it, and you got to get out of the way if you wanted to, or the ones who wanted to stay in the way because they want to continue to build their bags. You're able to buy on a 10 to 15% discount across the board. I have no fear when it comes to selling out before a drop. I'm not tied to any of this shit anymore. I used to be. I used to feel it in my soul, but slowly but surely it gets eaten out. Days like yesterday is a good example of why you can't have so much, if you were here, you understand. And I love IOTA. I love XRP. I love XDC. I love Algo. But when you get outside of the ones I love, I don't love crypto anymore. Too much government overreach. Too much government regulation. Too much market manipulation, even though we thrive on manipulation because you need that volatility to make gains and to where you can sell out and also pick up. So a strategy that I use, my BITUNIX account was up to 45,000. And that's outside of XRP and XRP Healthcare, so that's in the XRP Healthcare wallet. But as far as on BITUNIX, it was a good $10,000 9-day stretch or whatever it was. A little bit more than that if you want to go back a month, because we've done great in this little bit of a market upturn. But I came to a conclusion yesterday. We were going to have a 15% drop roughly, maybe 10, I didn't know. But 15% is what I echoed. And we were up getting close on most of these. Now, if they came short a little bit, they came short. But it was my impression that if I sold there yesterday against the market, signaling that it was going to go up farther, because I understood that we needed that daily back test on each and every one of these assets. It's without exception. I've come to realize no matter how good they make it look, no matter how spicy it becomes, no matter how much it feels like it can't possibly not go up from there, whenever you get to that moment, you got to take a step back. And somebody asked me yesterday, Tom, you were super bullish coming up to the last 2 weeks or whatever, and now all of a sudden, now what changed your mind? Psyche. Market psyche from my peers and myself. I got to a point in my own head where I'm looking saying this can't possibly fail. And once I thought that in my head, I said, uh-oh. Isn't that the sinister thoughts in a market where it can't possibly go down? So it's not. So because it can't possibly go down, that's probably what's going to happen. Again, all these people started showing up on TikTok. All these people started showing up on YouTube and social media and in the stupid Twitter or X sphere and all this saying how XRP, buy it now, become a millionaire. There's no stopping it. $100 at the end of the month. It's a can't miss. So once you start seeing that, you know the buildup. Everywhere in the media has been telling us that Bitcoin's going to $1 million now. It doesn't make any sense. You know how they're portraying it. I actually had somebody I was watching in the background here. You know what they said? They talked about Bitcoin, yada, yada, yada. And then they said gold, after this tremendous pullback, we may not want to enter anymore because it's had a volatile swing back. And I'm looking at it saying, what? What are you talking about? It came down $40. What are you talking about? Literally, gold's on the verge on this big flag, unless it too breaks down. It should, I mean, it could be on the verge of a big movement here. It hasn't filled out this target at all yet. That was the technical target up, and it's right at 3,757 with the upward potential of 4,100. But our target from the bounce here, if you remember, was 3,770 or so. So we've still got room. But when I heard them say that, I'm like, so you're going to sit here in the same breath and tell them that Bitcoin's the new gold and that it's a store of value, and you're going to tell them to sell their gold because it had a pullback? Are you blind? Like, I want to know, like, are they blind? Or are they just consistently trying to push us in the wrong direction? Focus on crypto. Focus on crypto. Focus on crypto. Forget silver. Forget mining stocks. Forget gold. Forget commodities. Forget precious metals. But buy this. Buy this, I promise you, because the government is overreaching right now and they're putting regulations out the anus. Like, buy this pop. It kind of makes you wonder. So what I've done in this market now, instead of just sitting in it forever and ever and ever, I'll buy. I'll roll for a week or two. And then when I see a big drop coming like yesterday, I get the hell out of the way and I get to enjoy on a $45,000. That 10, 12, 15% drop would have cost me $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 today. Guess what I did? I took that $5,000 out, sent it to my digital savings, have it set up for my digital Visa debit card for when I get under $25,000 on it, and I want to buy something. It's already there. And now I've got enough money to trade with this drop that should put me in similar positions, if not better, as far as holdings. But now I'm going to round it out a little bit. Now that I had a large holding of XDC and everything's rounding itself out now, it gets solidified to where it spreads around a little bit more. Now, I'm not going to talk about my portfolio at all today. Instead, we're going to talk about yours, period. We'll talk about some things. We'll talk about where we should be looking. We'll talk about, is this the back test of all back tests? Do we have a little bit more to go? Or is this where we're going to round out? Because we came down to the uptrend on Bitcoin. You better believe it. So this is where it starts. You've got to make a formidable decision here, especially if you got out of the way of the drop, you heeded the warning. You've got to make a decision now. Is this the spot where we go, or is Ethereum still lacking a backtest? We don't know. A big part here is this 45-minute. Are we going to get rejected at 3,618 roughly? Because I like to have it a little bit higher. Maybe 6. Let's just say we're going to get rejected around 3,630. Or do we push back and get on top of this? We do have what looks like possibly, and it's hard to say right now on this drop, but if you look at Ethereum in the 45 and you do something like this, I can tell you right now that it's got a little bit of a, here, let me show you before I say anything. It's got this little bit of what you could consider a little channel that's forming here in the smaller time frames. And it's a little bit of a falling channel. It's like a downward consolidation. Now, but the thing is, let's say Ethereum comes up and let's just say we got rejected here at like 3,670. That could put in a right shoulder there in the very short term. So that's what I mean. We've got to monitor this to see, is Ethereum out of the blue, or is this the first step down towards the daily? And if it is, and I'm not sure it is yet, but if it does go down there, because this can ride up. Remember, this can roll up every daily candle close above. It's going to rise up. So remember, this red line, it doesn't have to hit it identically. It doesn't have to hit it exactly at 3,220. Just remember that. Because these are moving. These 20 days continue to balance out based. So maybe it has a progression here. This pulls into this, and then all of a sudden you go. And then you've got the retest up here. So then it doesn't need to go all the way down. It just needs to sit in this consolidation zone. So that's what, right now, you can't know. You can't possibly know. It's kind of on conviction. Remember yesterday when I looked at IOTA? For anybody who was here, I don't want to talk in the past tense, but that's all I can do right now because we're in the moment. But yesterday we had a target for IOTA. First target. Daily golden cross on the back test. 20.87 cents. And then if you see it, you feel it, you make sure that that is giving you the proper bounce or it gives you the proper hold. Right now, we're looking for a daily candle close over this. So if you're looking to buy back, yes, this is the most frivolous or risky time to do it on a drop, but it can be the most profitable if it holds. Now, if it goes down farther and you don't have a plan, you go all in one shot, you know. But a lot of these are starting to, if you look in the monthly and take it outside of the weekly, I don't want to be the bearer of bad news on some of the ones that we talk about, but like IOTA, you know, I don't necessarily see that same setup like I see with XRP. Like, there's a lot of them that I see XRP, like I've said this before, I could see XRP consolidating for months and being one that drops, you know, while a lot of them are doing their thing. But right now, we need to make sure if that's a double top. But right now, it's a cup and handle. So, I have a hard time saying that that's just a head and shoulders in the whole scale, because right now I'm seeing more in like the higher time frames. You still have that cup and handle that formed with the handle. We're back testing in a sense in the smaller time frames, but it seems like there's work to be done here so that we can get a little bit of parabolicness. But if this does pull down, like I said on a lot of them, if it pulls down a lot farther than, or a little bit farther on some, it could very well invalidate the short-term thesis, because you can see that if this is going to come down, there's no reason XRP shouldn't come down. Oh, man. See, that's the question. Could you come down to a gap at 250 if this kept falling? Maybe. But I'm looking for this handle. I'm looking to see some kind of defined handle. And then it's like, but then I look at this. Look at this. This is kind of weird. I didn't even notice this because it just did this drop a little while ago. My son, FYI, he has a G-tube. You know, so, he does eat some by mouth, but like for his nutrition and stuff, it definitely gets through the G-tube. But like he was gagging and stuff, but he didn't end up throwing up. It only happened a few times, so I had to monitor him with Julie for about an hour. But he was acting good. It was just, we thought maybe he might spit up some acid or something with the reflux. But he doesn't really have it happen. This is only the second time it's ever happened like that. But this time nothing came out, and then he wanted to go outside and play, so we had a really good time. But guys, remember, one of the good things about this after a drop is, remember when you have a big run up and you back test the drop, you can find a swing trade here for the back test. Like XRP, even if it got rejected, you're talking 330 or maybe even 342 at that drop point. So And I'm not saying that that's guaranteed, but this is the kind of place where people try to scoop up in fear on a big drop. They try to scoop up in fear the back test. So like for me, I'm looking at a very laser identifiable focus. In the group, they had to sit through this with me because sometimes when I teach the group, I've been making it too easy when I have group trading. Because if we make money and there's no wiggle up and down, or if we lose money and there's no wiggle within the position, what did we really learn? So we had a good run or we had a bad entry. I thought this through last night, and I made it very clear to my audience and in the Telegram especially that if you're going to be part of this trade today, you're going to have to sit through this and learn how to trade. I don't have 3 trades open. I have 1. And I bought VeChain telling everybody we're about to drop 10%, and I'm going to show you the strategy dropping 10%, and we're going to see if this works. And it actually allows me to add to a position if I only have 1 position in our group trade, and it did. So this changes the game a little bit. The one thing that's wrong with my position, it's in cross, but I'm not going to sell it when we're down, just to put it in isolated, because then we have to incur a loss, we have to incur fees. That's not the way I'm doing it. Honestly, I don't even care that it's down. So we bought $438 more when it was 10% down roughly. We talked about where we needed to buy more yesterday before this drop ever happened. When I bought the position, I said the target would be in the daily time frame to buy it on the retest of the 20-day. We got an overzealous drop, so we bought it on this drop. And now it's pulled up a little bit, but this is the area where you would buy the retest. Now, like I said yesterday, if this doesn't hold, we could be talking about a much, 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 much larger drop in the sense of now all of a sudden, instead of a 10, 12% drop here on this daily candle, which ended up being at most about 11.6, you could legitimately make this a 30% correction. And that would mean, and like for me, here's the one bit of hesitancy I have right now. Not for a swingable trade, not for maybe repositioning if you've already dumped out but you have long bags and you're like, I'm looking to get a better opportunity. Maybe I want to take some money home and I'm looking for a drop to have it happen. We need to pay attention to 2 factors here. 2 factors. One, Bitcoin, because my prediction in this bull market was 122,186 until we could see some kind of setup beyond that. That was the cup and handle setup if you're new, so please pay attention. We do have what looks like a rising triangle, or I guess you could argue rising wedge, but it seems more like a rising triangle. So we thought it would be a bullish continuation. But for this to happen, I'm almost convinced if we want to not just like come up here and maybe top out at 128 or something, I'm almost convinced if we want to make that target of 143.8 that was created in this consolidation, the only way to get there is to backtest the breakout. And how often do we not backtest the breakout if it's a continuation up? Not very often, if ever. So now we're looking in real time, it's at 114,000. So if Bitcoin says a $4,000 drop, what does that mean for Ethereum? I'm just saying if this side played out, because I like to look at all scenarios after a retest back up here to see what happens. Because these are going to be some ugly daily candle closes where they're at right now. So it was exactly what was needed, don't get me wrong. But now we need to see if there's something further, if this is the correction, because that's a wild volatility back up from 35.21 back up to 36.14. That's a good sign that it's eating it back up. There's no doubt about that. So I'm just giving you everything that's going through my head that we could think about here to try to make an educated and informed decision. Now, where these fell down to, if you were looking for entry points, these are back testing. Every single one of them are back testing this consolidation of this cup that's been filled here. We back tested the grouping down here that had a lower cup that broke down into a little bit of consolidation. So the only other thing that could happen here if this broke down even farther is forget the 200-day. I'm not worried about that. I could see 1990 if it broke down one more layer. But this is where it comes to, why would it break down one more layer? Is there a reason? And honestly, it may not need to, because that's a daily golden cross that it's back testing. And in theory, if you weren't in a position, we got the 50 now confirming a crossover through the 200. That's typically when somebody will come on and say, X, Y, and Z, we have a golden cross in the exponential moving averages, because they don't usually use the 20, 50, 100, 200. See, I like to use the 20-day as well to get that initial burst, because remember, these are lagging indicators. So now it had the burst. Everybody's happy. We have the daily golden cross. What do they forget? The back test of that golden cross. which can be overzealous sometimes and come down to the 200-day in a quick strike. Right now, it's come right down to the 20-day. So what you do in these situations, if you are convicted, or you have the not convicted, you're not a prisoner here, but if you have the conviction that you want to buy algo, you buy the back test, and you're splitting hairs right now. Yeah, it came up a little bit, but you're buying the back test of the golden cross in the daily at the 20-day within range where it was at. Then if it falls through, you're automatically committed if it drops here. And I'm telling you a strategy that you should live by. Let's say you bought it right here and it doesn't pan out in the end. It goes down 13%. Better yet, it falls all the way through 23%. Well, you just committed yourself, to have to try something spicy. Now, we don't want it to come down that far because you don't want to invalidate these big W reversals. You hear me? You feel me? You see what I'm saying here? So we don't want to invalidate this. But the one interesting thing is like these big, on these, you had a left side that pulled down farther. I hate when the right side doesn't pull down farther. That's like they're playing a game and it could come down and see. And that's where it gets tricky on some of these because they do have them slightly different in all of these charts, kind of to throw you off. But if you look at them universally, one by one, inverse left shoulder, inverse head, inverse right shoulder, back testing the inverse head and shoulders breakout. Like it's like if I didn't know any better, they're dumping it right now to scare a bunch of freaking people. And if it holds, it holds. But man, oh man, oh man. So I'm going to look through some of the comments. I appreciate all the support here this evening. Almost 180 people in here after yesterday's, whatever you want to call it, with what happened. So I greatly appreciate it. I know it makes it easier for you to come back when I don't look like an idiot today and I actually look brilliant. Because I left yesterday saying I'm either going to look like I'm an idiot or I'm going to look like the smartest guy in the room, basically. And at least for today, this community is the smartest community in the room. Hands down. So let's take a look at everybody, and then I'm going to say good evening. 7:12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on this Wednesday, July 23rd, 2025. I'm XRP Future Millionaire, and I reside in the great state of Michigan. And that's also why yesterday, and I might have offended someone, I said I can't care what you think today because it only matters what I think because it's not just my positions, but I got 45,000 people to worry about in my audience that I want to make sure they're getting the best damn TA known to man. So I took it out. I put it all on the table yesterday. I left myself exposed, so to say. Got kicked in the dinger a few times. The grotesques are quite sore today, and the fact that, but it was well worth it because some took advantage. Some stayed in, but they put more money to the side and were ready for a drop and capitalize. It's not all about selling. If you have a long hold bag and you just want to hold, and your best thing is to invest, that's not money you need, and you're doing it over the years, who am I to judge? Who am I to judge? It's a good sound philosophy. This, however, on Dent has a beautiful reversal. It has a nice Gartley, it looks like, as long as it holds in this setup. Well, like I said, it's a little interesting right now because if it's me for Dent, we already got this fill out once here. And back here we had boom, boom, down to the head, up, up, trying to create a right shoulder. Could it make sense to come down here? Maybe. But I kind of would like to believe that it can ride the 20 EMA in the daily. And we can finish off this golden cross at some point. Because right now, as we backtested, was the 20 cross and the 50, and now the 100, which is beautiful. Because it backtested it just before it backed it. And now you also created this inverse pattern here. Boom, boom, back down. Harder to see in the daily. But they're wicks, and it did absolutely create that fundamental setup. So, these are the questions. Is that an M there? So I always say it's not easy when you come down here because when you get a big drop, it's going to look a certain kind of way after a 10 to 15% drop across the board. When you look at an asset, it's going to look a certain kind of way. When you look at it in the short term, you go, oh, shit, look at that trash. You look at it in the 2 hour, oh, my God. Can we hold the 2 hour? We're going to be about to get hammered, And then you start taking it out a little bit farther. You look at the daily, and you're like, well, why would it have dropped here? What needed to happen? Well, we came to resistance. If we're going to have continuation, we're going to have to come down and test that 20 cross and the 50 and then ultimately the 100 before it gets over the 200 for that golden cross. So it makes sense by not breaking and holding the 200, we'd come back and retest the 20 underneath. We're also in this pattern consolidation that failed to break out, so that's something. And this is going all the way back with the resistance. Then we created a resistance here to kind of give us this little channel on the breakout. So if we stay in this channel, we're fine. It's just, if we fall below it, now all of a sudden this becomes the target. So, and if that happens, oh, you're going to see us stacking up like you haven't seen it. It'll just be by layer, by layer. I'm not selling the group trade for nothing. I'm telling you guys right now, I'm going to see how dedicated you truly are. Because that's going to be the testament of whether we can build a position by virtue here going forward outside of just VeChain. I did a lot of testing and it failed in a lot of senses, even though we were up like $3,300 as a group. You know, some things I did wrong, some things we all did wrong, let's just say. But going forward, we have a true identity now. This is going to be very fun. If you want to be a part of it a little bit deeper, please make sure to join Tom's Army. On the video description below, you won't see it yet, so go into my homepage. And if you want to join Tom's Army, click on Tom's Army, go to the membership tab, click on it. I've been a member for over 4 years of my own army. And there's a few others that have been that long as well, 50 months to be exact. And if you do that, go in the post section and you're going to see the Telegram post. It's exclusively for members of Tom's Army. You go into the Telegram and you can see a lot of stuff that we do. We have our general chat. We have content links. We have group swing trading, but I have a feeling that these setup, this section might not make it through what we're going next to the next chapter. But I don't know. We'll see. We're trying to come up with something. We've got Security Center, gold and silver reports with commodity links for the exchanges. The Big House Readers Digest next episode comes out on Sunday. Shout out to the Fine Group for his fantastic work. So it's just something. You can come in here and you can join the copy trading as well, the group trading. Past performance doesn't predict future success. And as a whole, I'm trying to teach some of you how to buy within a position. And even if it goes horribly wrong, if it's something you want to hold long term, you got to build that bag over time. So I gave you one of my own that I was going to wait for to buy after these drops. And I just said, you know what? We're going to teach. We're going to teach. We're going to teach. Let's see. So let's go through the comments. I'd love to hear what you guys have to say. I'm going to do my best to get through these, but this is a part of my program where I take a lot of pride in the fact that I talk to everybody. And if this part takes me 15, 20 minutes, the hell with it. That's what it takes. That's what it demands. And that's what we're going to give the gratitude for. Bearded Viking, welcome along with Jesse and Michael. Thank you all three of you for being in Tom's Army for your first month with the emoji badge of me being abducted by aliens. And Bearded Viking, you're right. You want healthy pullbacks here. You want healthy pullbacks. We just want to make sure where the pullback ends, because right now, Bitcoin doesn't look bad. Ethereum doesn't look bad. Crypto doesn't look bad if you take it out into the weekly. Now, if you take it into the monthly, like XRP, some could say head and shoulders, but I'm more looking at that long-term cup and handle that finally filled after all this time, like 7 years. And I'm looking for that appreciation still up to $5.49 at some point. So I have no doubt that's going to happen in time. I just don't know if we have a full-out correction to 250 or worse if we reset, but it's going to go there eventually. I don't think this cup and handle is going to break down. If it broke down, I would put it at a 17% chance for XRP to invalidate this cup and handle that's formed over like 7 years or so. It's a very small chance that it's not going to actually play out in time. Very real chance that we might not be done yet. So I like to look at this objectively in every possible facet, and I love it. But let me stop talking about what I love and see what you guys are saying. Frankie Fresh, thanks for being in Tom's Army for over 3 months with the XRP Meteor. Says, at least we didn't fall below $3 just yet. Looks like we got some support around $3. It sure does. That's a level that I've been targeting. If it could hold that, it's like in the daily time frame, even if we came down, there is a layer of support and the uptrend hits right here. So does that make sense? That, well, not the uptrend, but kind of like where we're following that line to go in the wave through, but it's kind of like an uptrend in a sense, because if it stays on top of it, we're pretty good. But it's not technically an uptrend. It's just the expansion zone out of a wick off. Or more of like the 5-weight Elliott wave, I should say. But yeah, we're looking for that daily EMA, which we basically hit 305. It could have come down to 297. It doesn't need to hit it on the nuts. That's close enough. The 20 EMA or the daily 20 EMA now is going to end up running up anyhow in the daily close. So it's gonna be very close to running into this one way or the other, even if it's slowly over time. But that's, you know, it's a valid question for everybody saying, are we going to start forming some head and shoulders? Is this going to have another leg down? Unfortunately, I don't know yet because I need to see how we reject or if we pass this. If Ethereum, or I mean, if XDC fails this run up right now, 7.9. 7.9 is the lower target right in here. If it holds right now and we stay over 8.4, beautiful. That was the first buy-in target if you were looking for an entry on that drop. So, and then if not, it falls through. If Ethereum has to come down a little bit farther, yada, 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 so on and so forth, we at least have an idea of what that could look like. So now that we have an idea of that, let's continue. Wales, Josie Wales, welcome in and B. And thank you for being in Tom's Army for over 1 year with the I Told You So Bad Evening Outlaws. How can I be sarcastic tonight? Ooh, that's a good question. Frankie Fresh says Josie Wales maybe asked, huh? What psychic he went to predict the dump today. That is the psychic of the crazy brain of Tom. Tom's crazy brain sees weird patterns. I always see weird patterns before they develop. It sucks. And it's good. It sucks because it pulls me away. But it's good because beautiful entries can be had. Again, I'm not telling you what I did right now because I want you to make the decision based on what you're seeing, one way or the other. But I've already told you a list of what I want and what I desire. The only thing I've talked about is VeChain and how IOTA is dead on the nuts of that, you know, golden cross backtest in the daily. This is my list. And I already have XRP out there, so that doesn't even matter. But, like, I go through it universally and I look. Daily retest on data beautifully. Backtested this amazing breakout here, which is completely bullish. We backtested it now, so that we're in the nut point of buying. Like, if you want data, it's in that zone. It's backtesting. If it holds, you're going parabolic. So you can decide what I did there as well when it backtested the structure, break out, and backtested it. And then you can decide what to do if it were to break that structure, if you got to do it all over again, rinse, repeat, so to say. So to say, I got to teach you guys to fish a little bit more and not rely on my baiting material, you know, my baiting technique. I want you to rely on what I'm seeing in the charts, not hesitate and make a true found decision. Now, like I said, reversals, so turnaround Thursday we're probably going to have. We're probably going to have a turnaround on Thursday to backtest some of these drops, if anything. So either way, it should look good in about 37 minutes. We've got these nice reversals probably setting up. Buy spot. I'm tired of hearing everybody losing their money because they're getting fleece heisted and shiced in the leverage game. Save it. I'm teaching you spot. If you go outside of it, that is something you're going to have to pay the piper, and each and every one of us will at a time. Even me. Even I will pay the piper, as Bagelgate proved, in a big way, if you do leverage. So, falling outside of this, falling outside of the, well, it could be perceived, you could perceive it as a rising triangle, rising wedge, but I perceived it, but it didn't matter. I perceived it as a, and you guys know I put this on last night as a rising channel, and unless it broke out, well, you gotta make a decision. And then I said, if you do enter this, which I never put the confirmation I did, because I never decided anything, because I didn't want to tell anybody one way or the other. But anyhow, 38.81, a fallout there, and you look at the technical drop. I mean, we filled that. So now we're going to look at the daily death cross, or the hourly, 2 hourly, and see if we can push back over or we get the validation. So now we're going to have a little bit of green, I feel like. We should. We better. Get a little green here for Thursday, and then try to settle the dust on Friday for the weekend. Let's see. Anyhow, let me continue. But yeah, it's good right now, but we also have to be very conscious before the daily close. Like, I wouldn't encourage anybody to do anything until you see where this daily close is, and then you get to see which way they're going to take, because it's either going to go, we're going to get a continuation up at 8 and retest the drop and then see for a further drop. I mean, we're going to get a bounce at 8, or we're going to get one more continuation down, because many are going to think that this is probably safe. So I don't know. So we have to see both ways how this plans out. But I'm going to go through the comments here. I've been talking for 35 minutes. If people leave, they leave. It is what it is. We got to be, like this. So I got to talk back and forth. That's where I get most of my oomph. The Fine Group, thanks for tuning in to the live tonight and being in Tom's Army for over 3 months with the XRP Meter and being a very trusted mod in here and a very important admin in the Telegram. If anybody's wondering, Define's like my right-hand man. I dare say we have a lot of people that are tied in command in the admins and things, but I would say truly he's my second-hand man. Like, he's my right-hand man. I get to go through him with a lot of things. And I got a lot of other people that I can go to. Jorge, who does phenomenal. Syrian joined us as an admin on Telegram today. A longtime mod here in the YouTube as well. We've got Nick Morales, who's our TA guy as well. Very, very important in the Telegram. And he's like a technical advisor in there. It is what it is. And the only reason you have to join the Telegram or the Tom's Army, and if you want to cancel it and don't want to pay it forward anymore, I understand. I encourage you to continue to show support for all the work done. But we're trying to put a little bit of a deterrent in place because we had so many people try to imitate me, and you can't get everybody. So there's always going to be spammers. Telegram's filled with bots and people that are trying to steal people's crypto and trying to convince them to send them crypto and we'll double it. See, this is the human psyche, how dumb we are. We have variable A and we have variable B. So let's think of algebra or geometry. So we have A equals XRP future millionaire. B equals unknown person I've never met. A, XRP future millionaire is giving you his time for 4.5 years every single day. Been in front of the market every step of the way to the point to where we can call these the day before, and then this happens the next day as if we have a crystal ball. B, you've just got into contact with and they offer you to double your holdings. A, you don't feel comfortable sending a donation, you don't feel comfortable joining Tom's Army to support the work. B, you have no problem taking from the guy who does 4.5 years with no days off and getting double your portfolio. Does it make sense that the guy working so hard as A is also the guy who's B? Why would I be doing all this work if I'm just going to scam you? I might as well just go in somebody's community and just scam them. Why am I doing all this work? So stop trying to get easy money with B and start showing support to the A variable. That's what I can say. Greed gets us in many different ways, and if you think you're just going to double your holdings with no real work, that's your greed talking and the devil's on your shoulder. Remember, when you're favored by God, you're also favored by the devil. Let that sink in. Papa Wheelie and McMichael, thanks for being in Tom's Army for over 6 months with the XRP Predictor. Cowabunga, good evening. Zilla, welcome in. Calvin Wilson and Big Dog, thanks for being in Tom's Army for over 3 months with the XRP Meteor. Dennis Smith, good evening. And thank you for joining Tom's Army. I believe it was yesterday during all that tomfoolery, aka my name is Tom, that we had last night. And I may have overlooked it, so I really appreciate you joining yesterday. You made me the happiest person in the world today because it continued to today because it didn't even fully function in my head that you joined Tom's Army. So I thank you for that, and thank you for having the emoji badge of me being abducted by aliens. Live Your Dream Media, welcome in. The Cannabis Podcast, good evening, and thanks for being in Tom's Army for over 6 months with the XP Predictor. Love it, and thank you for putting out all the content on cannabis as well on YouTube. Make sure you take a look at that channel. Very, very informative. Very, very informative. Moza here, UK Phil, and CJ2 Pilot, thanks for being in Tom's Army for over 1 year with the I Told You So badge. Israel, welcome in, says XDC Future Millionaire. Oh, we have nice long-term projections with XDC. I can't wait. And we bounced off so far these 200 days. The daily, we came down here and tested like we talked. What I talked about earlier when I came out is we just got to make sure these weeklies don't pull any farther. We want to make sure, we don't be coming down too much farther here to get this reversal, because if we do, then you could start talking about other things. But look, the weekly time frame with XDC is also in a golden cross. And we bounced out of it right now. We're back testing the pattern breakout. Like, hello? Be smart here. Be smart here when you're looking at things, especially if you have favor with XDC. Be smart when you're looking at positioning. Be smart when you're looking at, do I put 100% in here right now? Or am I putting 75? Am I putting 50? Am I expecting more? Am I expecting less? What am I thinking? So, you know, there's a lot that goes into it. D. Cruz, are you in here today? D. Crux, who vehemently disagreed with the drop yesterday and said, no, XRP is going to 4. Basically saying I'm blind in a sense. Which that's true. I can't see out of my left eye, but I was curious if he'd show up today. Few people I was curious, but I don't see their comments. Shocker. At least I show up when I look like an asshole the next day. Supposedly. D. Rojas, welcome in and thanks for being a part of this whole thing. He says, work your magic, I try. Jan, welcome in and thanks for being in Tom's Army for over 3 years. Now, holy crap, it's been that long with the XRP Diamond Hands badge. That's incredible. And thanks for being a very, very trusted mod in here. It would not be the same without you. It's all an illusion. And Amanda, thank you both for being in Tom's Army for over 6 months with the XRP Predictor. And I just noticed that It's All an Illusion is the #1 top fan. Excellent. And yes, you have the same concern I do. We do kind of need to turn this weekly candle around very quickly here. And the problem is here, Bitcoin has not come to 113 yet. You know, so despite all of that, we have not back tested this yet, which is not 100% that we're going to have to. But, you know, I'm a little uncomfortable here knowing that we're in this consolidation and we have not back tested this yet. But, as they say, it doesn't always need to do that. We have the golden cross. Maybe we hold the daily, 20-day daily EMA, and we go from there. We like golden crosses in the daily, because then they lead to them in the weekly, and we really like those. Those are long-term patterns. And Bitcoin has the weekly cross, but now we're just trying to ride the weekly EMA right now. Nice V-shaped recovery that we had. Nice inverse left shoulder, head, right shoulder, breakout, back test. The only thing we haven't done is back test 114 right now. Is it going to happen? Nobody knows until it happens. We can try to project it. We can try to front run it. We can try to have some kind of foresight, but until it happens, mainly you just end up like me when you try to tell people you look like a complete donkey. You know, you look like a jackass. Because when 99 people are telling you something else and one douchebag is telling you something more, well, you don't know. You're like, well, if 99 people are telling me to jump off a bridge, the guy telling me not to must be an idiot. Let's go to slaughter. Or maybe the one guy who didn't jump off the bridge has been there before and that's why he's still there while the rest go to perish. That's what I always say about the portfolio. Maybe I'm left standing because I'm not perishing in these bear markets. Do you know how many people perish during all these up and down, left and rights, and they can never get ahead? They continuously throw in their 40-hour-a-week paycheck, take 15, 20, 30, 50% of it and lose it. Next week, try again, lose it again. But instead of just putting it in over time, they're just going to swing it. It goes, hey, I'm buying it at 35 cents. Oh, my God, it dropped to 32. I'm selling it. Oh, my God, it's up to 36. I'm buying it. My dear Lord, I'm an idiot. I'm dropping it again because it's at 35. No, that can't work. If you buy it at 36 and you're convicted, you have a conviction that it's going to be a good asset. You know what you're doing with tokenomics and you understand what you're seeing on the chart. What does it matter if you buy it at 35 and it goes to 32? Buy more. If it goes to 28, if you really like the asset, don't you want it to go down so you can get more before it breaks out? That was always my argument with XRP. Why is everybody so afraid when it's in a certain range? We want to be accumulating at these stages. We can't have a $30,000, $31,000, $32,000 almost XRP portfolio with a few $1,000s if that doesn't happen and we go down to very low levels. And then we have to wait it out. We're doing the same exact thing with some of these other ones just years later. Like IOTA. I remember fantasizing about IOTA at these levels. And we rode IOTA a couple times here, which was fantastic. I was in IOTA from here. We had this big run up, and then I sold it and waited to buy it back once with the group, and we rode it up somewhere over here in this first weekly a couple weeks ago. But now it's more than that. I'm looking to just get that whole position back that I had right here, rode it up, and now I'm looking for more. I'm looking for that confirmation, and we'll see if we get it or not, because the weekly is the only thing that we're wondering right now if it pulls down any farther, because that is a very big pull down in the daily. And for IOTA, there's been zero pullback right now. And this might be a good blessing here in disguise, because it's giving us an awfully big long look here at some of the rest of the market. Remember our front runner yesterday that confirmed what was going to happen today? Data. We know it's in the same rotation, so when we seen data all of a sudden drop 10% yesterday, we're like, well, what the fuck? So it made it like that much more real what I was, you know, trying what I was trying to portray to the audience. And then all of a sudden in real time, data, XRP, healthcare are down 10%. Oh, maybe it's going to start sooner. I was thinking it was going to be today's daily candle. I thought we had time. That's why I came on like frantically yesterday. I'm like, okay, we have time, but we don't have that much time. But I digress. Josh Jolly, welcome in, and thanks for being in Tom's Army for your first month with the emoji badge of me being abducted by aliens. Says I cashed out 4K today. Cashed out in the sense of you earned that money and then you seen it on the drop and maybe either you saved it or made it, but you still have a portfolio. I'm trying to figure out what you. In any event, if you took out $4,000 and it was earned, like you made money, congratulations. If you took it out because you don't like the market anymore, understandable. Shadowheads, welcome in. 250 a good buy and all. Patience as panicking newbie selling is a plus for the dip. True. But I don't know if it's going to go to 250. We've held $3 so far. 250 is just a fair value gap area that was left on the overzealous push up without a back test. Kryptonian, welcome in, and thanks for being in Tom's Army for over 1 year with the I Told You So Badge. Another live indeed, friend. Appreciate you with this. So much support and so much help too with certain tokens. A lot of the tokenomics I understand with Axelar, you can give credit to Kryptonian. And a few others, actually. A few other tokens he's helped me with along the way. Mike Izza, welcome in. What price do we load up on our XDC in your opinion? Well, the one area has been hit. The one area has been hit. 008 or 084 is what I talked about yesterday for that first area in the daily. Second, and it came down to 82. The second area, and this would make it very dangerous because if this is a reversal pattern, if it comes down here to retest the next area, it's probably going to be over. And that's what I mean. We're at a dicey spot here. You don't want to just push it to over. But 0079 in theory, if it wants to come back down and double. Maybe it does do a double bottom here and something happens. But we have a nice cup forming a nice handle. We can see it. Nice cup. Trying to make the handle right now. And if you look at it, we could actually hone in on this a little bit because you're trying to make this handle. So we'll see. You hone in on it and you see if this does come down past. And we have to go to that 7.9. If we go to 7.9 and it doesn't hold, well, unfortunately, this is looking like one of those times, if the market makers want to do it, assuming it fell through, when I say unfortunately, where they would just go, dee-dee-dee-dee-dee-dee. We could end up doing some stupid shit like that if the market just wants to completely retrace. I don't expect that to happen yet. I've not seen the evidence for a big drop like that. But that would be worst case scenario. We just fall through. Bitcoin likely goes back to 91. And then, probably worse. But right now, as long as we hold over this short-term breakout to push to the longer term, the projected area where we could hit a third tap and so on and so forth, we're actually looking pretty damn spicy right now. We're looking spicy. It's just, where's the appropriate spice going to be added? Weekly candles, we've had rising in volume. So it's still midweek. By tomorrow's candle is when we should see some upward volatility if it's going to happen. I don't know how many times I can repeat that phrase. If we're going to have volatility to the upside, it's going to happen on this next candle flip. We seem to be rounding the bottom with XDC. And I won't let you overthink what I'm doing with XDC. Like, you've seen the areas I circled. You've seen the areas with some of the other things I circled. So just make a rational decision on what I might have done. Or what I might do in the future. Or what I might do if it were to drop below. Or if it might... Just everything. Ethereum in the daily. A little bit to be desired. But in the 4-hourly, I mean, it come up all the way. It's come up all the way here. So... obviously, a lot to consider here. And we'll see how far it wants to break. Whether it just reverses out now or what. But we knew we had to have a little upward volatility. But I wouldn't be surprised for another liquidity strike. To at least get these first. Because what ends up happening in this first bounce is you're going to get some 30, 50, 70, 100x traders that are like, oh my God, we're down 10%. Can't possibly go down that far before we get a reversal. And this is where you can get those short liquidity strikes where XRP goes from like 319 to 314 like that, and then back up to 317 in like 10 seconds. Or 319 to 315 back up to 321. That's where you get those wild moments. So we'll know what kind of liquidity there is. If you see all of a sudden here, us drop by about 0.5% to 1% like that, they're striking the 50, 100x traders. It's what they do. It's just what they do. They like to take out these liquidity strikes, and they use it for further pushes up if it's there. If there's not enough liquidity, well, you know. So, anyhow, let me continue. I like the way this kind of crossed this line between the comments and just what we see on the charts and trying to form a rational decision. So far behind on the comments, it's sickening. Imagine being a paper hands. All depends. All depends. Let's see. Mark Cass, thanks for being in Tom's Army for over 1 year with the I Told You So badge. Alec Tony, welcome in, and thanks for being in Tom's Army for your second month. Dust House Crypto News. Let me try to catch up with some of these members. If I don't call your name, my bad. Meatball, welcome in. John Boogathorpe, good evening, my good friend. I'm so glad to see you in here. Daytona, welcome in, and thanks for being in Tom's Army for your second month, or over 3 months with Dust, or the XRP Meteor badge. Jessica Garcia, welcome in, and thanks for being in Tom's Army for over 4 years with the XRP Phoenix badge. What a show of support. That is unfreaking believable. Matching me month for month of the support for my own self. That's amazing. Kyle Kupiak, welcome in, and thanks for being in Tom's Army for over 1 year with the I Told You So badge. Getting closer to the 2-year badge. Unfortunately, Cape Cod Kyle today, it's not showing his badge, but I know he's part of Tom's Army. Momo, welcome in, and says, thanks for the gems you give us. Thank you for being a gem in the audience, my friend. And I mean that. I've seen your name in here a bunch now. I love getting to know some of you. Actopi, see the news. See the Theta news, AWS news. I did not. Okay, gonna have to put Theta back on here. I forgot to add Theta on here for the long-term targets, just to keep watching them. But that was another one I wanted to dump out too, and then I just never put it back on here. I got so caught up in trying to... No. I don't want Bybit. 8.16%. So Theta got all the way up to 99.99, hit the 200-day again. A couple times we hit the 200-day. And now it's at this is a pretty healthy reversal here. So it could come back and retest about 82 cents if this is because that's a pretty big reversal there in the daily. And we've only got 17 minutes. Oh, we're going to have to watch this. We're going to have to watch all of this. I like to have a... Yeah, oh, man. That's interesting. You know what else should be on this page? I don't know why it's not ACH. Like, where the hell did that go off of this page? That's on the undervalued list. It's absolutely on the undervalued list. Yeah, I sold it after we made a nice run up. I didn't sell it right away, remember? But we were still almost $400 in profit. But I wasn't going to hold it all the way through. I'm not insane. Well, I mean, you're not insane if you hold it, but if you understand what you're seeing, you can't just hold everything. And now we're back testing. Like, this is the thing. If this market is indeed meant to go up, we are back testing these areas. Like, it's so obvious right now. It's so obvious that this has to happen to make it go further up. But at the same time, it's also obvious that we must pay very close attention to the fact that we have to make sure that the weekly doesn't oversell this. Because I've seen a lot where the weekly ends up overselling it and then it turns into a reversal. And they're like, well, how the hell did we get here? And then it invalidates the structure. And it's like, well, how did we get here? We shouldn't have got here yet. Because we didn't have any flow. And I knew yesterday something was wrong. When they tried to put out that FUD story about Jerome Powell being fired or resigning, when there was no validity to it, the only reason they ever do that is to form some kind of liquidity crunch. So a bunch of retail will buy in based on the news, and then they drop the market right away on the next day. It never fails. Jim Cramer said to buy Bitcoin and Ethereum. He said both of them? Oh, Lord have fucking mercy. That means Ethereum probably is cemented to go to 3,200 here. Fucking this guy. Guy's been nothing but a tremendous help to us when he advises us not to buy something, but he's a pain in our ass when he tells people to buy what we want. You know, we don't own Ethereum, but it's the gatekeeper to, you know, to the start of alt season. We were so close to alt season, folks. We need to get over 3,981, and we're in alt season if we hold. That's how close we were. Ethereum got to 3,851, $130 short and reversed. That's how close we were. And we're still in the setup to get there, but that's how close we are right now. But the Bitcoin dominance was due for a back test here, so I don't think we're surprised. We even talked about this yesterday. The back test here would be up here probably because that's the breakdown. This is also confirmation if we break down here that maybe, just maybe, this rising freaking channel that's lasted since November of 2022 is ready to freaking break already. Because it's getting a little out of hand. That's a nice possible setup for a little flag to the downside if this pans out. Maybe you get the rejection at 62.5, but the bottom line is it's going a little bit up because it's back testing the drop with the Bitcoin dominance, just like everything else does. So we're in a weird spot here, I'm not going to lie. There's opportunity with the daily back test here, but there's also a real live scenario where we might not be done yet. So this is why you have to make an educated decision because there are opportunity. There always is. Silver is at 29.65 or 39. Where's it at? 39.26. And we've got gold just about 3,400, but it did have a $40 reversal today. So these things happen. These things happen. I'm just waiting for that XRP to liquidate all of the longs that took out a trade right before the close. Because it happened. Remember, it got up to 320 real quick? It happens all the time. Now it's down to 318. How big of a move is that? Let's see. Dan Marginal, welcome in and thanks for being in Tom's Number for your first month. With the emoji as a me being abducted by aliens, I appreciate that pay it forward mentality. Rudy, we're at January 27-ish price level. Yes, we are for XRP. We double topped so far. Some of the other ones didn't even come close, guys. Some of these other ones didn't even come close to December. Like if you want to go back, IOTA ended up going all the way up to 42. It's in half right now. It's at a 50% retracement even where it's at. And it looks like a nice, I mean, if you're asking me, that looks like a bull flag possibly forming there, like a nice little setup, like that left shoulder, even if it looks like a big shoulder setting up, like a nice little setup here to bounce off of this daily golden cross. Let's see. Joseph Euler, excuse me. Thanks for being in Tom's Army for over 6 months with the XP Predictor. Says hit the like button is free. Absolutely. Beat it. Good evening. Let's see. Living Your Dream Media says streams like yesterday need to happen too. It's grounding for everybody. I agree. I just wish it wouldn't have got taken down. Do you know how good that live would look from yesterday now? Do you know how many views that damn thing would have? Damn. That's the one thing that is a bothersome. It would have so many views right now. Like so much of the word could have got out. Rudy, that's what we're going to have to watch tonight in the Asian markets to see if they do indeed buy up this dip. Frankie, thank you so much as you are freaking killing it today, Tom. Came in a good mindset, honestly. A lot of you are the reason why. Seriously. Frankie's the reason I took a step back yesterday and said, oh my God, I did this all wrong the way I came out on fire. I needed to come in more on the same page as my audience, not like trying to get in front of them because I was so like frantic because I'm trying to get everybody to pay attention to what's going to happen. And it was in the micro, so it makes it a little difficult. It's not the end of the world. But I agree, we do need moments like that so that we can further see when something's not right. Tango, good evening, and thanks for being in Tom's Army for over 3 months with the XP Meteor. George Athonovus, Crypto Cooter, thank you so much for being in Tom's Army for over 2 months, or 6 months with the XP Predictor. I got to get towards the bottom because we're getting towards the end of this live, believe it or not. It's been an hour, and I got things to go check on. My son's sleeping at the other 2 kids here. Julie is laying down, but I told her I would check on her. You know, her foot's all messed up from the car accidents. She had like 8 surgeries. She is such a trooper. Ankle replacement. Well, not technically. They replaced her ankle bone with the cadaver bone and part of a bone, like a graft from another. It was a big nightmare. Same accident my son got injured in. Not their fault, but still the pain. Let's see. Can we get a dragon formation, says Kryptonian? Man, do I wish. Jason Whipple, thank you so much for being in Tom's Army for over 3 months with the XP Meteor, and also a $4.99 donation. Says, I appreciate you, Tom, and the community you created. Well, that could not have been created without all of you independently, with your integrity, your character, and just the adopted mindset of mine, or a mindset you already brought of abundance for all instead of abundance for one. It's so easy to make abundance for one because you can piggyback off of every other person and make your abundance because you don't care. When you have the mindset of abundance for all, you no longer can make money off of your fellow peer. You can make money with them, you can make money because of them, but you can't make money in spite of them. See what I'm saying? Trump today, though, he did talk about some stupid tariff I seen on Bloomberg earlier. That I just keep this because it shows the charts on the side constantly rolling on every single market. So I like to keep it. The one good thing about Ethereum, if it could break out, I mean, you could say maybe it's like in a falling channel like we were talking about. S&P futures, though, I don't know, man. That looks like a little bit of a rising channel with the S&P futures. I don't know about that. That looks like ass. The Dow looks like it was on ass today. They all look like they were kind of rising in a weird way. Are we about to have a drop in the stock market here? What the fuck? Huh. Well, we'll have to see. That don't look right. The Nikkei looks like shit. The Nikkei? Why does that look so... Oh, because of the deal with the USA. I don't know. That's speculative at best. That's weird. B500, the euro. Those look pretty stable. Yeah, pretty. APAC. What the hell is that? That all looks pretty decent. The rest of the world looks decent. Just a few of them look like they're in some weird. That obviously the USA is looking the worst. See, I just want to make sure I say, there we go. CJ2 Pilot, thank you so much for being in Tom's Army for 21 months. With the I told you so bad. It's almost. You are almost the XRP 589 Moon Badge, my friend. I will continue to support you, Tom. I really appreciate that. Really appreciate that. I'm glad I could make you happy for the 2 days. Oh, you're going to make me happy for many more days. Many more days, Dennis, but you have definitely made me happy. Happiest person in the world today, as a matter of fact. Michael Votage, welcome in, and thanks for being in Tom's Army for over 3 years with the XRP Diamond Hands Badge. I greatly appreciate that. If I miss somebody, I appreciate it because I have to go to one more person that joined Tom's Army before I leave. Just send it. Thank you so much for joining Tom's Army in your first month with the emoji badge of me being abducted by aliens. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much. That is my face superimposed on there. And remember, go to YouTube if you're part of Tom's Army. Go to the post. You don't even have to hit memberships if you're part of Tom's Army. Go to post. The post on the top is going to be exclusively for members of Tom's Army. You click on that. And we took care of Tom. We took care of Tom. So I'm going to say taken care of. But I'm not going to delete his message. Because you need to know you can talk to us. We have a system in place. So if things happen, we'll figure it out. And I said yesterday I wanted Tom back. It's my executive decision. And Tom's back. We just had a difference of, you know, like I say, sometimes when you're sending something over text on a message and not speaking it or not in person, it can be misconstrued and it can come off as hostile when it's really not. And I'm pretty sure that was the case we had yesterday. Just a misunderstanding of wording. That's it. There's nothing wrong with that. Tom's actually a great guy from what I can see. Just very passionate for keeping the community safe. There's nothing. I need people like that. I need people like that. Dennis says, well, Tom Kramer did say buy Bitcoin. Oh, yeah. I've heard he said buy Bitcoin and Ethereum. So, stellar. He always wants to get you in there. Have a blessed night, Bearded Viking. I'll be saying a prayer for your child for the continued recovery during this, you know, incredibly trying time. Remember, everybody, don't forget to give thanks to our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. And with more than one of us thinking, feeling, speaking in the name of our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, and God becomes present in our actions. Jesus Christ becomes present with our doings. And we have the spiritual guidance we are looking for. And I firmly feel that in my heart when I say it. So, that's That's where we're at. XCN, it's on my back burner I'm peeking on it. It's on my phone. It's not on here. I keep forgetting my phone and here are two different things. That's why ACH is on my phone, but not on here. It should update it automatically. They're both my same damn portfolios. And you'll notice what I put on here now. It's a little bit different, is it not? When you go to my actual watch list and stuff. Did you notice what it said? I don't know if anybody caught that subtle hint the other day. Yeah, XCN I've been watching. I want this inverse pattern. I just want to make sure we don't break down because there's a lot to be said here with these rotations. And it's always good until it's not, and it's always bad until it isn't. Broke out of there. But we still have that big inverse pattern, back testing the inverse setup. We're going to have to take a deeper look. I'm going to go from an unbiased chart next time without any kind of writing on it. Let's see. We'll cover this on my next live because I got to go. I got to make sure Julie's good. I promised her I'd be in there, and I'm already late. Already late, as usual. But notice the list. Long-term token holds, which means when we try to get into these entries, we're looking for the long-term hold. XRP has already happened. XRP Future Millionaire, long-term. So if you see them on my list, these are my long-term projections. I'm already soundly in B2 Gold, Pan America Silver, First, all these. I already am in. These are my emerging market funds. Doing rather well here. That's where I do my IRA. And then we've got the group trade. So I'm trying to make this for everybody. So I wish I could burn one, but I got to go help Julie. So thank you all so much. It's a blessing. Maybe tonight, if things work out, I can come back and do one of those midnight hour sessions. I don't know what time my son's going to wake up. We very well could be up all night. I was up until 3 a.m. yesterday with him, which was why I started a little bit later at the gym today, around 9 instead of 7, walking there. So, but everything works out as it should, and we'll keep our eyes